Hey guys, welcome back to Combustion Junction. Today we're going to continue on the CB550. I've finally gotten some of the stuff that I've ordered. It's taken a little while. I apologize for not getting anything out sooner, but the good news is that I have enough parts on hand now to give this thing a pretty good little tune-up. Starting with, so this is my first exhaust of this style. I'm actually looking really forward to getting it going. It's a complete kit. It's got the 4 headers, the collector, the actual exhaust is in there, and then it comes with, you know, a couple extra brackets and all the gaskets and the springs and even a little spring tool and stuff. So that's gonna be number one, because this bike, even now as it is way too loud to do any tuning on. And speaking of tuning, I don't know what sort of state it was in before I got it, but I knew it was a running bike at some point. But these carbs have the factory jets in them, and with pod filters and open pipes, it's beyond me how this thing ran good. It'll idle forever, but giving it any throttle is a no-go. Incidentally, this engine, it's been given a lot of love. And it's just from the little clues, like the fact that it's had the conversion, all the bolts have been converted on it all around. The fact that, you know, and then you're just looking at the paint on the head and everything, you know, obviously this wasn't a masking job. This was painted separately and assembled separately. It's so clean. I'm not sure how much of it was taken apart, but I have a pretty good feeling that quite a bit of it was, which makes me feel kind of confused as to why the jetting didn't get updated. Anyway, I also got a little box of goodies from 4-in-1. 4 new intake rubber guys. These were working, but I had to heat them up with the heat gun every time, and I figured, you know, if I'm gonna go through this, having leaky intake would kind of suck, so I grabbed some of those. I got 2 different jets. I got a set of 105s and a set of 110s. I'm probably gonna go with the 110s. Been watching Taylor over at Classic Octane, and his recipe with Paz and the Delcovic is 110s. So I'll probably just go there because he seems to have really good results with the 550s and that setup. A Petcock Rebuild Kit. I just figured, based on the age of these rubbers and don't know how long it's been sitting, I figured it would just be a good idea to just rebuild the Petcock once I get paint on this and everything, just to avoid the drippies on the gas. So grab one of those. Oh, and another thing I did was I wanted to get some new levers. The original one here, although working, had a cracked off tip. I thought I'd order a new handle because also the clutch handle was also broken. This is one I ordered that I've already put on to make sure it fits. But most of the front brake handles are for the round master cylinder with the round reservoir. And so I kind of took a chance. I ordered one to match the clutch side, but if you look at the side profile, there's enough differences that it doesn't work. I don't know if this was the original master cylinder. Anyway, I kind of just blindly started doing searches and going on eBay and just typing in various different Honda models to see if I can find that handle. And I think I did, and incidentally, it does mention, the one I found I could only get on eBay, does mention the CB550. So maybe it's a 77, 78 thing, that this bike seems to have some different parts from its predecessors. Anyway, so that has been ordered, it's on the way. I don't have it yet. That I'll keep for something else. Maybe it'll fit the 360. And the last things I grabbed, oh yeah, so in this braking system, it's master cylinder in under here, tees out and goes to the dual calipers. And when I was sort of putting all this together, these lines, like the way this straight fitting comes in, it just dekes it right into the tire. And ditto on this side. And probably, you know, maybe putting a fender on might help it, but it seems sloppy, it seems messy. So what I ordered is a couple of, and you can see it, you know, these guys, the banjo fitting. And what I'm gonna do is just sort of get that, so pointing out that way. So these really nice braided lines, I'm actually gonna come around this way and hit the calipers on both sides from the outer. And I just think it'll neaten it up, because I'm not even sure if this was done previous to me having it, or if this was something on the rebuild, because I know that the forks and everything had been taken off and there had been new seals put on these previous to me getting it. So a couple sets of those to fix up that. I got the levers, but most importantly, I'm gonna get the exhaust switched out, and I'm gonna rejet the carbs, and then do the timing stuff, check the points. Incidentally, I did get a box of stuff with this bike. New points, new condenser. It also came with a bunch of spark plugs and an oil filter and sprocket and a few other bits and bobs. So I've got enough going on here now that I can really give this thing the once over. Okay, so this has electronic ignition. That's, wow. Because it's funny, because the tune-up kit like is brand new. Like it's you know, there's two sets of points and there's two condensers, all unused. So yeah, so that really tells me that this bike, this engine had some really nice attention paid to it in the not too distant past. So button that up and just check my valves. Cool. Something else I forgot to mention, this was the original battery that came with the bike. When I bought it, the guy just kind of handed me the battery and he was like, yeah, like whatever, you'll need a new battery. And I kind of took that as my signal. After I had tried ordering a replacement, I'm not being able to get one. I ordered a CB550 one, which is taller and I think wider or fatter. It doesn't quite fit as snugly as this one. So I then realized that, you know, this battery hadn't been frozen, it had just been neglected. So I filled it up, put it on the charger, and boom, within a day, it's perfect. And it has good power, starts the bike. So I'm actually gonna go with this. And something I haven't talked about is, you know, and I'll get into that in another episode, is what I'm gonna do with the back end. But I think I'm gonna try and leave this. I'm not gonna open all this part up, and I'm gonna deal with this in a different kind of way. So that was kind of a happy surprise that this battery actually does what it's supposed to do. All these are 90s, so I'm pretty sure that's the stock configuration. I don't know, maybe it wasn't run with the cutoff pipes or something. I'm really not sure of the history. I'm gonna leave the primaries alone because I think that's okay, and these I'm gonna go straight to 110s. If I find it's running too rich or I can't dial it in, then I'll back down to the 105s. But I definitely think these 90s were not cutting it. Alright guys, pretty much got everything buttoned up. Electronic ignition is all good. Valve's done. Carbs rejetted. I've got a temp tank going on. I've got just enough gas just to fill these up. Gotta say, very happy. Love the stainless. Still may wrap it. We'll have to see. But really anxious to see how it sounds.
I said to my baby.
I'm fixing the motorcycle.
Your motorcycle?
Yeah.
This is the same motorcycle as my small motorcycle.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Thought I'd give a quick little update because there's definitely been some developments. Saw the bike get started. It actually exhausts and everything sounds great. Sparks up right away. Starting to get it dialed in a little bit. I think it was running a little bit lean at the start. But there was this rattle, and I don't think you could hear it on the video because it was way in here and only at certain RPMs. It would just, first I thought I had really messed up on a valve, but what it ended up being was the bolt for the cam chain tensioner adjustment was actually loose. It was loose and seized to the inner splines or the actual adjuster mechanism. And it was just enough that at a certain RPM, maybe it was like 1500 RPM or something, it was just like brrr. So to make a long story short, I fought it and fought it and fought it. I'm guessing it was that way for a long time, and just with the open pipes, even when I had it running before with the open pipes, couldn't hear a thing. As soon as this system went on, it really presented itself. I tried a whole bunch of different things, tried putting a screwdriver in and just reefing on it. It was springing back. I'm hoping the mechanism itself was still fine. I'm not sure. The other thing, there was no washer on it, and I actually think the nut was turned in to where the threads ended, and it was actually stuck on that way because it didn't really seem rusted. What I ended up doing was going with a small nut splitter, and I didn't completely split the nut, but I put enough pressure on it that it sort of just oblonged the nut enough, and I was able to just take a flathead and tap it off. But I did all kinds of nasty stuff to the groove, so I ended up shaving it down and just filing the end to get the threads back in order, and actually I was able to kind of hand spin this on. So I really don't know if the adjuster itself is knackered or not. I know, it's a big no-no to twist it, which I didn't do, but somebody trying to get that nut off before may have done, either getting it on or getting it off. Anyway, it still seemed to have some spring action, so I went and did the adjustment thing where you put it 15 degrees past top dead center of cylinder 1 and let it do its thing. So in any case, the rattle itself, because I could, while it was running, I could actually grab that nut and stop the rattle. So that'll be fixed. We'll have to see if I get any other timing chain noise or anything of that. All right, guys, gonna call that for the day. A couple things I did not show was the timing of the electronic ignition as well as the valve adjustments. And basically they were all, I did a really quick check just to see, and they were all dialed in really well. So I have ordered a set of 45 primaries as opposed to the stock 42s that are in there. I'm 2.5 to 3 turns out on the carbs, and I think just going up to 45s will just bring it down to a more workable level. But overall, the 110s are great. Not gonna do anything with that. I still have to take off the exhaust one more time, just get everything sealed up. So that's good. And then we're gonna move on to probably what's the final part of this bike, is what I'm going to do with the paint on the seat and the cowl, as well as coming up with some idea for a seat. And to be honest, I've changed my mind about 600 times on this, and maybe I'll change my mind again. You know, I've even mentioned keeping the original battery and not opening up in there. I even keep going back and forth on that because I do have the pods and I could go that direction, but you're kind of, it's already been, the wiring's already been modded, so you know, you're kind of opening a can of worms that you might not want to open at this point. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. But if I keep this set up, I've got an idea for side covers that I think might be cool. And like I said, paint, seats, I think this bike is well on the way. With that, guys, subscribe, share, like, comment. We'll see you next time. Cheers.